later. She then confronted the miners' union and survived an IRA bomb attack on the Conservative Party conference as she continued her free market reforms, winning a third election in 1987. But her skeptical views on the European Union brought tensions and political plotting to her cabinet, and finally a leadership challenge and ultimately her resignation. Years later, she revealed her bitterness towards some of her Conservative colleagues.
What I will never forgive is it wasn't my parliament that I was thrown out. I shall never forget that, and I shall never forgive.
By the time she left Downing Street in 1990, she had changed the country forever. For many Conservatives, she remained their inspiration, indeed their heroine. Others in the party have been more cautious about her legacy and sometimes highly divisive style of politics.
Our political correspondent Rob Watson on the death of the former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. World News from the BBC.
From the WLRN studios at the Miami Herald, I'm Phil Waxman. A Palm Beach socialite turned designer whose tropical print dresses became a sensation in the 1960s and later a fashion classic has died. Lily Pulitzer passed away Sunday at her Palm Beach home. A rich housewife who married into the famous newspaper family, Pulitzer got her start in fashion by spilling orange juice on her clothes, eventually making dresses in colorful prints that would camouflage fruit stains. Jacqueline Kennedy, who attended boarding school with her, even wore one of the sleeveless shifts in a Life magazine photo spread while First Lady. Pulitzer, who was known for hosting parties barefoot at her Palm Beach home, also published 2 guides to entertaining. Lily Pulitzer was 81. Broward schools have rolled out new training guides for teachers. It's called LGBTQ Critical Support Guide. It's a manual for Broward school staff on how to work with and address issues involving lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning students. Steve Rothaus covers LGBT issues for the Miami Herald.
There was no model for this. They did spend more than a year developing the program, and it was funded through grants. This is a program that can be used in other school districts and will be a model for other school districts.
The training has become part of the school district's overall diversity program and includes a 25-minute video featuring teens, parents, and teachers from across the country. Broward is the 6th largest school district in the nation. Federal budget cuts are even affecting fictional government entities in the Florida Keys. Officials say the automatic spending cuts known as sequester will keep the Coast Guard from participating in the annual 10-day celebration of the birth of the Conch Republic. Conch Republic is a tongue-in-cheek creation that dates to April of 1982. Keys residents claim they were seceding from the U.S. to protest a Border Patrol roadblock established at the top of the Florida Keys Oversized Seas Highway. The April 26th Naval Parade, however, will go on. From the Miami Herald Newsroom, I'm Phil Waxman.
Florida National University is now accepting applications for its Bachelor of Science degree in Health Services Administration. Classes are available online or in the classroom. Florida National University admissions advisors can be reached at 305-821-3333. Dire threats are nothing new from North Korea. Pyongyang's pattern is to ramp up the rhetoric, then wind back down when the international community lures back them to negotiating table. We'll have more on Talk of the Nation today at 2.
This is The Takeaway. I'm John Hockenberry. Thanks for listening. And listen to this.
I know full well the responsibilities that await me as I enter the door of number 10. And I strive unceasingly to try to fulfill the trust and confidence that the British people have placed in me and the things in which I believe.
The voice, unmistakable, it defined the 1980s and lingered into this century.
We are more interested in progress than in change. Progress through increased personal responsibility and increased personal endeavor.
Margaret Thatcher, the Conservative first woman Prime Minister of Britain, has died of a stroke after a long period of decline at age 87. She defined the UK, though, and set the stage for the politics of the 21st century. I remember how shocked I was as a young newscaster when she went to war to defend the Falkland Islands halfway around the world. The names, the HMS Sheffield, the battleship Belgrano, all daily headlines. A generation ago, Margaret Thatcher's voice was there in the middle of all of it.
I must say the house for the Falkland Islands and their dependencies
remain British territory. No aggression and no invasion can alter that simple fact. It is the government's objective to see that the islands are free from occupation and are returned to British administration.
We'll have a remembrance this hour, and we know the very strong opinions of Margaret Thatcher during her lifetime as a politician are matched by your own thoughts about her. Would any of the songs of The Clash have had the power that they do without Margaret Thatcher? We'd love to hear what you think. The Thatcher legacy in our time, your own remembrances, your own stories at 877-8-MY-TAKE, or find us on Facebook. Joining us now is Claire Berlinski, author of the book Thatcher, There Is No Alternative, Why Margaret Thatcher Matters. Welcome.
Thank you.
So what did Margaret Thatcher achieve that no one expected her to be able to do right there at the beginning?
I think it is very hard for people to imagine now how unlikely her achievements were at the time. She played a role in politics that no one imagined a woman could play at the time. And she was visionary in a way that is now difficult to appreciate because so much of what she said is now part of popular understanding. It must be remembered at the time that there was truly a belief that communism would win. And when she came to power, it was not at all clear that the Cold War would end with decisive victory for the West. It was unimaginable.